Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's episode, we're going to continue our coverage of the ongoing situation taking place between Ukraine, Russia, and the West. So, first, we're going to have a look at ongoing news reports that are coming out of a variety of media outlets, including mainstream and not so mainstream media. Then we're also going to talk about some new troop movements by the Russian Federation. Again, more significant news about the deployments of Russian forces towards the Ukrainian border. But let's look at first. Let's look at some of the news that we're seeing out of the region. So first, this is coming out of Mail Online. Ukraine-Russia tensions. German Chancellor accused of weakening Europe. I wanted to touch on this a little bit about how the German government could be weakening the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, especially their stance in regards to the current ongoing military buildup by the Russian Federation. And what is happening is there has been some recent, within the last 48 hours, 24 hours actually, flights by cargo aircraft coming from the United Kingdom transporting both light anti-tank weapon systems. These are probably AT-4 anti-tank rockets, possibly in-laws, which are semi-guided anti-tank guided weapon systems. Not like javelins or anything like that, but there could be javelins on board those flights, as well as possible some Israeli weapon systems as well being transferred by the UK, along with United Kingdom special operations soldiers as well, which would teach the Ukrainian army how to use said armaments. But originally, these flights coming out of the United Kingdom were going to fly over Germany, and the Germans have refused to allow NATO aircraft to supply the Ukrainians with these anti-tank weapons and these very small token troop movements from the United Kingdom. So the UK, the Brits, have had to go around Germany through Poland and then land in the Ukraine while avoiding Germany. So again, as I talked about in other previous issues, if we were to see a Russian move against an actual NATO member, such as Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, again, we at MFAN do not believe the Germans would honor its Article 5 obligations regarding deployment of forces in which another NATO member is attacked. And again, the German government has become the ultimate nanny state. It is a far leftist government now, and it really has no desire to enter in any sort of military conflict. Its defense budget is deplorably low. Its military upkeep, it just really doesn't have the capability to get into a war right now. In all probability, the Poles probably have a greater force capacity and a motivated fighting force than the actual German military. But again, as I suspect that if Putin were to make a checkmate move by moving into the Baltics, that would be the end of NATO. The Germans probably wouldn't jump into it. The Turks definitely would not jump into it, along with several other nations as well. And for all intents and purposes, that would be the end of NATO. But for the troop movements that were, well, I'm sorry. Let me get back to some of these other news reports that are coming out of the region. So it kind of runs the gambit in what we were looking at over the last several weeks. ABC News, ABC News Live, Russian forces to mass near Ukrainian border, the national interest Ukraine in the danger of human miscalculation. And it just goes on and on. Really, just the same uh, 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 news reports that are coming out of the region, with the exception now of some new additional new reports of Russian troop movements within the vicinity of Ukraine. Specifically, these troop movements are now moving into Belarus. So first, we're hearing that we've seen a number of units identified by the serial number on the actual armored vehicles that give us an idea of the military bases and or the regions that these forces are coming out of. And first, we're seeing elements of the southern military district, the Krasnodar region, in terms of some units being deployed to Belarus. In all probability, we're looking at possibly special operations forces. It would be strange to see elements of the 7th Airborne Division. That's the 7th Air Assault Division, Mountain, headquartered in Krasnodar, being moved all the way towards the inside of Belarus, when you have other units that would probably be a better fit to move more quickly, such as the 76th Airborne Division, located up here towards the Latvian Estonian border. And there it is right there, the 76th Air Assault Division. That is another fire brigade of the Russian VDV that can move very, very quickly. But the units right now that we're seeing moving into Belarus are units coming from the Krasnodar region and the Southern Military District. So there's a host of units that could be moving into Belarus, such as the 34th Mechanized Brigade, Mountain. Again, it's very foresty in southern Belarus, and those forces would be ideal for an operation into the north of Ukraine. And then you also have the 205th Mechanized Brigade within that area as well. And another very interesting report of further forces moving. Again, these are forces going into Belarus now, are units of the 2nd Army, and that is located here. Some of the units that are coming out of the 2nd Army appear to be out of the Orenburg region. And the most likely movement of those forces would first and foremost would be the 92nd Missile Brigade. Now that unit would not need to get very close to the border with Ukraine or Belarus to deploy its Iskander missiles. They can hit targets out to 250 miles from wherever they're shooting off their missiles. But most likely, we're seeing the 21st Heavy Mechanized Brigade. So this is kind of an oddity within the Russian military structure. Usually, a motorized brigade contains one tank battalion and 3 motorized infantry battalions. The 21st Heavy Brigade consists of 2 mechanized battalions and 2 heavy and 2 tank battalions, for a total of about 82 main battle tanks and 130 or so armored infantry fighting vehicles. So a little bit different formation than your standard motorized rifle brigades, but this unit could also be being deployed to Belarus as well, and along with some of these Army level assets, the 385th Artillery Brigade. Those contain heavy artillery assets and heavy multiple launch rocket systems, as well as the 950 Reactive Artillery Regiment, which contains 3 battalions of multiple launch rocket systems. So again, quite a bit of firepower coming out of Orenburg, moving in the direction of Belarus or being transported to Belarus as we speak. We've heard reports that columns of troops have arrived in Minsk, both via roadway and via train as well. So again, a vast array of forces really moving all over Ukraine or near the Ukrainian border, and now entering Belarus, where we're seeing elements of the southern district, southern military district forces, quite possibly from the Krasnodar region. We have not, again, we have not identified the actual motorized rifle brigade or or it could be airborne troops from the Krasnodar region as of yet. But again, it would appear that elements of the Southern Military District are on the move to Belarus, along with forces coming out of Orenburg as well, and that's this area right here we just talked about. But again, just a very fluid situation, a lot of moving pieces, and a huge, huge force construct right now that is surrounding the Ukraine. So we are going to continue to watch this very closely and see what happens. By all indications from the rhetoric and the information pertaining to the force moves, something quite possibly big is going to happen within the next few days to a few weeks from now. But again, we'll absolutely continue to watch and bring you more content about the continued situation. Have a good day, everybody.